My coworker won't stop complaining about my tattoos. I started a new job in December, Carol started in February. We work for a small company, with 6 of us in production. We're not customer facing in any way. Carol was fine with me until the weather warmed up and I wore short sleeves, at which point she discovered that I have tattoos. She took me aside that same day to tell me how unprofessional she thought I was for having them. I pointed out that workplace norms are changing in general, and that our particular workplace doesn't care. It didn't matter, they were unprofessional, and that was that. For reference, we're both women in our 50s, Carol is actually 8 months younger than I am. I'm not the only one with ink, but I am the only woman, and the shipping guys are in another building, so she probably doesn't realize that both of them do too. Since then she has spoken to me repeatedly about them, and when I refused to engage, I started with a briskly cheerful "so you've said, I disagree, then you've said, and I'm not talking about this anymore," and am now just ignoring her muttering. She's taken to talking to herself about it. She's also has gone to 3 of coworkers to complain about them. Those ladies are all senior to us, but beyond keeping an eye on the production schedule, they are not supervisory in any way. We think she'd like me to cover them, but she knows she doesn't have the standing to say that, and I don't have any reason to. They're not offensive, one set is flowers, the other is a geometric-ish paisley, and nobody here cares. I'm dreading summer, this is an elderly building and poorly air-conditioned, and I'm told tank tops and shorts are the norm. She's going to be really wound out when she figures out the gauntlets she dislikes so much are actually full sleeves, plus the edges of a few others that will show. Our HR person is very part-time, and mostly for onboarding/benefit type things. I can go to our owner, who I think would be responsive, but his feels like something I should be able to handle on my own, and so far I'm having no luck. Can you provide any advice on the one last try script at shutting her down on the topic? Or should I just go straight to boss lady? Update. So, the situation with Carol has been resolved. I actually spoke to her the same day you posted my letter. I ran into her in the break room and she started in again. I interrupted her and said, "That's enough. I have asked you politely and now I'm telling you, stop commenting on my tattoos. They don't come off, I'm not going to cover them, and they're not against the rules here. Your obsession with my skin is really weird, and I don't appreciate it. This is the last conversation I intend to have with you about this." She was pretty taken aback that I thought she was being weird, but I didn't give her a chance to keep going, I just went back to work. She didn't speak to, or about, me for the rest of the week. By the next week she had settled on stilted past the salt-style conversation, but only if it was a group thing. She still wouldn't speak to me personally. Since we don't work on the same projects, this didn't have any impact on my workflow, so I was okay with chilly silence. It beat the nagging, for sure. Then we went on site to do an installation. We were warned that it would be hot and cramped, and to dress in layers we could shed. Of course, the inevitable happened. Carol and I ended up on different teams, and when we met for the mid-morning team swap, most of us were down to a tank top, me included. Carol got one good look and flipped out. She berated me about my lack of professionalism in someone else's workplace, and caused enough of a ruckus that Jane came to see what was going on. Carol went off on Jane about my continued and blatant lack of professionalism, but Jane shut her down pretty sharply. The teams were reshuffled as planned, and Carol got put on Jane's team. Apparently she took that as an invitation to keep going, and asked Jane why she hired me, and then why she tolerated me. Jane's answer: "I hired her for her skill, not her skin. Jane may be my new favorite boss." Then she accused Jane of a lack of professionalism for doing so. About an hour after the team swap, Joe, the other owner, came in the company car with the HR lady, on her day off, and took Carol back to the workshop. She apparently stood all the way back, or read the handwriting on the wall, and when they got back, she got out of the car, declared that she couldn't continue to work for such an unprofessional organization, that she had her own reputation to look after, even if we didn't care about ours, got in her car, and left. That was the last we've seen of her, although there has been a scathing review posted to Glassdoor since then. The next day, Jane had individual meetings with all of us, and the day after that a workroom staff meeting. We, myself and the 3 senior ladies that Carol had gone to complain, were chastised for letting it go as far as it did without giving Jane a heads up, even if it was a "this is a thing but I'm handling it" warning. The senior-most co-worker pointed out that none of them really had any power to do anything, and that has now changed. There is now a designated workroom supervisor, and an end-of-the-week "how are things?" check-in between that person and Jane. The workroom is a much calmer place now, and interviews for Carol's replacement start next week. Also, a formal tattoo/piercing/hair color policy is being added to our employee handbook. Basically, anything goes as long as it's safe to have around machinery and not offensive. All in all, it's been a learning experience, for all of us, I think. Thanks for your advice. I really appreciated the framework for my response to Carol.